ओम परतत्वे सदा लीनो रामकृष्ण समाख्यया यो धर्म स्थापनरतो वीरेशं तं नमाम्यहम्. In Swamiji Vivekananda's Jnana Yoga, we are studying this chapter, the Atman, and that is the lecture delivered in New York on the 2nd February 1896. And the meaning of the word the Atman means the real nature of man, our reality. That is called Atman. What is our reality? And it is a comprehensive treatment of the entire spiritual life as understood in India. Before the Westerners, and equally important for us Indians, because we have forgotten our roots. And so, first Swamiji presents that Advaita is not the only thought in India. There are several thoughts, and there was never any organized church to control people's thinking. And because of this freedom, sects are growing even today. And so, that is the first important point, freedom of finding one's own adhikar and what suits one. According to that, one progresses. You cannot impose any one particular system on everybody. And so, Swamiji then takes up that there are so many philosophies. We find one special thing that Swamiji has talked about Nyayas and Sankhyas, and he has said they had not formed any religious schools, but he has ignored either the system of Patanjali Yoga or he takes it, not though he calls it is based upon Sankhya, but he takes it as a practical sadhana method of Vedanta. Perhaps that is the meaning. And then he Sankhya, Vaisheshika he includes in Sankhya, and then says there is a Mimamsa school who want to put everything on the Vedas. And in them there are two parts, the karmic theory, those who believe in the first part of the Vedas called the Karma Kanda, and they are the people who do some punya to get something. But for spiritual evolution, people believe in the knowledge portion of the Vedanta. Knowledge means change of consciousness, not intellectual study merely. And in that, there are various grades of thought. And there are innumerable grades of thought in that, but in a broad sense, to understand things, we can categorize them in three groups. And they are the Dvaita, the Vishishta Dvaita and Advaita, the dualist school, the qualified non-dualist school, and the non-dualist school. And then he takes up what are the common points in all these schools. And that is the Swamiji's beauty. First find the common points and first they agree that they all believe in God. This is also important, I told you, because some people think the Advaita has no place for God. And they believe in Vedas, that is the second common point. And that belief in the Vedas is not like other religions believing their scriptures, because Indians think that all knowledge is in the Vedas. All subtler knowledge is in the Vedas. That is what the Indians believe. And that is the common point. And then, third common point is belief in the movement of creation in cycles. That the whole world is created, preserved for some time, and then destroyed. And this cyclic thing goes on repeating itself. And another thing common is that they believe that there is Akasha, which is not the space or empty space of the Westerners. It is like ether, Swamiji says, something which the science had tried, but it is the primordial matter or indiscrete matter from which, by little more and more grossification, we get all the matter. Similarly, all the forces are resolved into one force called the prana, life force, and this prana is both external types of forces, physical forces, electric force, magnetic force, heat, light, there are forces. But also the subtler forces called the thought, feeling, those all forces, they are all included in prana. And then when prana acts upon matter, akasha, then the evolution starts. This is 4 points here shown, all people believe. Now, after that it takes the positive lessons derived from the Advaita, because it is helpful to all of us. Some points which the Advaitas have emphasized are helpful, constructive for all of us. So Swamiji takes up that God is personal God, eternally separate from nature and separate from Him. God remains the same. Nature and souls, they undergo changes. Nature undergoes transformation. Souls undergo contraction and expansion according to the works they do. And God is, according to the dualist, God is personal in that He has qualities, not that He has a body. He has human attributes. He is merciful, He is just, He is powerful, He is almighty, He can be approached, He can be prayed to, He can be loved, He loves in return, and so forth. In one word, He is a human God, only infinitely greater than man. He has none of the evil qualities which men have. He is the repository of an infinite number of blessed qualities. Now he compares them with the atomists, Vaisheshikas, non-Vedantic, though orthodox, believe in the Vedas, but not believing fully in the Vedas like the Vedantis. And their ideas are wrong. That is the dualist devotional people show. The atomic theory is illogical. If atoms do not have any dimensions, then infinite atoms together will also have no dimension. So, they call this Akasha as indiscrete or undifferentiated nature, and out of that God creates the universe. Then Swamiji compares it in a global manner and says, all religions of the world are dualistic only. They don't go above that. All the religions of Europe and Western Asia are dualistic. They have to be. The ordinary man cannot think of anything which is not concrete. So that is what his intellect can grasp. He cannot conceive of higher spiritual ideas by bringing them down to his own level. He can only grasp abstract thoughts by making them concrete. Now, he finds the difficulty in this dualistic thought that under the rule of a just and merciful God, the repository of an infinite number of good qualities, there can be so many evils in this world. This question arose in all dualistic religions, but the Hindus never invented a Satan to answer it. They threw all the responsibility of man. What we do, what we sow, that we reap. So this is the karma theory believed in all the Vedantis. So these dualists have that theory, and that makes freedom, that man is the maker of his own destiny. Another peculiar doctrine of the dualist, peculiar means important here. That is, all will come to salvation. No one will be left out. Through various vicissitudes and all that, all will be come to salvation. And the idea of salvation is that they will live always with God. And there are various gods, their positions with power, different people occupy them, and if man has desires, he should get them fulfilled by these people. In India, the dualists, real dualists, never believe that we should ask God for this or that. So asking God for this or that is nonsense according to the dualists. They say from God we should ask only love, and by love we shall go near Him. So these are the beautiful points of the dualist Swamiji has presented. And the world and our experience in the world all comes from God. If we get that view, we are saved automatically. And the dualists are great vegetarians, and they do not say that Buddha preached that or this or that. They say that you have no right to take a life which you have not created. And when the me and mine will go, you will be really devoted to God. A needle covered with clay will not be attracted by a magnet, but as soon as the clay is washed off, it will be attracted. God is the magnet and human soul is the needle, and its evil works, the dirt and dust that cover it. As soon as the soul is pure, it will be natural attraction. By natural attraction come to God and remain with Him forever, but remain eternally separate. And he can do so many things, but creation, preservation, destruction of world remains to God only. Up to this we had studied. Then we are now taking up this portion. The real Vedanta philosophy begins with those known as the qualified non-dualists. He called them real because they are non-dualists, qualified. That means they believe that we are one with God, but not identical. We are one with God in the sense like the branches of a tree, or like we are the body, God is the soul. All souls and nature is body and God is the soul. So we have come quite near to the real Advaita. So Swamiji says that the real, from this we are reading, the real Vedanta philosophy begins with those known as the qualified non-dualists. They make the statement that the effect is never different from the cause. The effect is but the cause reproduced in another form. That Swamiji has shown in several places. If the universe is the effect and God the cause, it must be God Himself. It cannot be anything but that. They start with the assertion that God is both the efficient and the material cause of the universe, that He Himself is the creator and Himself is the material out of which the whole of nature is projected. Important thing, the word creation, that means creating something which was not there, does not find an equivalent in Sanskrit. The word srishti, which we use for creation, means projection. Already it is there, but it is projected, spread. So that is the idea of the qualified non-dualist. The word creation in your language has no equivalent in Sanskrit because there is no sect in India which believes in creation as it is regarded in the West as something coming out of nothing. It seems that at one time there were a few that had some such idea, but they were very quickly silenced. So, Asadeva Swami is there, Kechittu Ahu, but immediately they got the reply that from nothing can be created, so that was given up. At the present time, I do not know of any sect that believes this. What we mean by creation is projection of that which already existed. Now the whole universe, according to this sect, is God Himself. He is the material of the universe. We read in the Vedas, as the Urna Navi, spider, spins the thread out of its own body, even so the whole universe has come out of that being. So we are very near feeling the real position, but it is not real. If the effect is the cause reproduced, the question is, how is it that we find this material, dull, unintelligent universe produced from a God who is not material, but who is eternal intelligence? Intelligence is the word used as consciousness during Swamiji's time. So, God is consciousness. How material world can come out of it? How, if the cause is pure and perfect, can the effect be quite different? What do these qualified non-dualists say? Theirs is a very peculiar theory. Very peculiar means not appearing rational. That is the meaning here. They have a theory, but does not appear rational. How from Chetan the Jad comes out? They say that these three existences, God, nature and the soul, are one. God is as it were the soul, and nature and souls are the body of God. That is their theory. In this sense, one. Vishishta means, qualified means one, but these are different. Just as I have a body and I have a soul, so the whole universe and all souls are the body of God, and God is the soul of souls. Actually, as Swamiji has told in other places, and Sri Ramakrishna has told, the dualists love God. If they do not set a limit that we are separate from God always, if the love increases, the experience tells that we are very near God, we are His body. So, the Vishishta Advaita comes as a natural evolution of the love proposed by the dualists. But then, because of philosophizing their position, they put a limit to our love or nearness to God. When this nearness increases, the difference vanishes, and then we do not feel we are separate from God. So, a natural growth takes us to Advaita. So that is why Swamiji is presenting these three schools, that the operative part is love. And love grows, then we do not feel separate, we feel part of God. And when the love still grows, we feel we are one with God. Not in any relative sense, like the body of God and all that. We are what God is. That position is reached by the Advaitists, finally. They may reach the same position through love or through rational analysis we come to the same position, but it is a natural sequel to this Vishishta Advaita. So theirs is a very peculiar theory. They say that these three existences, God, nature and soul, are one. God is as it were the soul, and nature and souls are the body of God. Just as I have a body and I have a soul, so the whole universe and all souls are the body of God, and God is the soul of souls. Thus God is the material cause of the universe. God has a body, and that body makes the nature and also our souls. The body may be changed, may be young or old, strong or weak, but that does not affect the soul at all. It is the same eternal existence manifesting through the body. Bodies come and go, but the soul does not change. So observation in our own life. Advaita Vedanta will say the body is unreal. They do not say the bodies are unreal, but bodies are part of God. But the soul does not change. Even so, the whole universe is the body of God, and in that sense it is God. Qualified sense. But the change in the universe does not affect God. Out of this material He creates the universe, And at the end of a cycle, his body becomes finer. It contracts. Finer means it contracts. At the beginning of another cycle, it becomes expanded again. And out of it evolves all the different worlds. So God has a body and a soul. So in this way, God is not an absolutely one. One in the sense he has body like ours. And this body grows and contracts, and that is Sthiti Pralaya. Now, a point common to all actually, here Swamiji is pointing out, common to the dualist and the qualified non-dualist. Now both the dualist and the qualified non-dualist admit that the soul is by its nature pure. But through its own deeds, it becomes impure. The Advaita will say, it appears to become impure, not actually. Not the deeds, but the error of consciousness makes them appear impure. The qualified non-dualist express it more beautifully than the dualist by saying that the soul's purity and perfection becomes contracted and again becomes manifest. So, the purity is not gone, it has become contracted. So, improvement in the language means improvement in the consciousness. The dualists say impurity is gone. By worshipping God, the purity will come. Non-dualists say by our evil deeds, the purity has become contracted. It will again manifest. And what we are now trying to do is to remanifest the intelligence, the purity, the power which is natural to the soul. So purity, consciousness and power is natural to the soul. It has become contracted by evil deeds. Souls have a multitude of qualities, but not that of almightiness or all-knowingness. That means purity and other things are there, but almightiness or all-knowingness is not there. Every wicked deed contracts the nature of the soul, and every good deed expands it. And these souls were all parts of God. As from a blazing fire fly millions of sparks of the same nature, even so from this infinite being God, these souls have come. Now this is a quotation from Vedanta. The Advaitin will say it is there to show that our real nature is the same as that God. And the Vishishtadvaitin will say it is there to show we are small parts of God. Each has the same goal. The God of the qualified non-dualist is also a personal God, the repository of infinite number of blessed qualities, only he is interpenetrating everything in the universe. So dualist think that he stands outside the universe. And qualified non-dualist say he is immanent. He is interpreting the universe, but matter is separate and consciousness is separate. He is immanent in everything and everywhere. And when the scriptures say that God is everything, it means that God is interpenetrating everything. So, in a qualified sense, we are taking the scripture, it says God is everything. We say it means it is present in everything. Not that God has become the wall, but that God is in the wall. There is not a particle, not an atom in the universe where he is not. Now, if you apply it fully, what happens? If there is not any particle which is not God, then what remains? But they feel no, particle is there and inside that God is there. That is just a growth of consciousness. He is not. Souls are all limited. They are not omnipresent. When they get expansion of their powers and become perfect, there is no more birth and death for them. They live with God forever. So here also they go to a loka. Now we come to Advaitism. So in this way, Swamiji has built up our consciousness. And now he is showing what is the highest and real truth. That is the best way to approach Advaita Vedanta. Through the other schools of Vedanta, not through other schools of philosophy. Swamiji has shown they are not made in school, but a natural growth of consciousness by growth of love. Now we come to Advaitism, the last and what we think the fairest flower of philosophy and religion that any country in any age has produced. We cannot go beyond that. So, it is the fairest flower where human thought attains the highest expression and even goes beyond the mystery which seems to be impenetrable. That impenetrable mystery, contradiction which Swamiji has shown in Maya chapters, he says it goes beyond that by showing that this is all error, that's all. This is the non-dualistic Vedantism. It is too abstruse, too elevated to be the religion of the masses. Because there is a human society is a graded organization. And the consciousness cannot go beyond that in this life. And so, it is almost impossible for the common masses to catch it. Even in India, its birthplace, where it has been ruling supreme for the last 3,000 years, that means Swamiji has said that majority is dualist. But everybody has to accept the direction of the non-dualist. So it is ruling for thousands of years. It has not been able to permeate the masses. As we go on, we shall find that it is difficult for even the most thoughtful man and woman in any country to understand Advaitism, that he accepts. We have made ourselves so weak, we have made ourselves so low. I told you once, Revered Swami Tapasyanji in a lecture in Nagpur said, the difficulty of the Upanishads is not intellectual, it is a lack of purity. So, this purity has to grow to catch it. We may make great claims, but naturally we want to lean on somebody else. We are like little weak plants, always wanting a support. How many times I have been asked for a comfortable religion? That means he will exert for us, not we. Very few men ask for the truth. Fewer still dare to learn the truth, and fewest of all dare to follow it in all its practical bearings. So to learn the truth itself first, then ask for truth, learn the truth and practice it. So these three steps, Swamiji says, is very difficult for the ordinary man. They want religion, so they ask comfortable religion. To follow it in all its practical bearings, that means to base our whole life on that. It is not their fault, it is all weakness of the brain. So, our surroundings have been teaching us the weakness, and that is what happened to us. Any new thought, especially of a high kind, creates a disturbance, tries to make a new channel as it were in the brain matter, and that unhinges the system, throws men off their balance. Yes? They are used to certain surroundings and have to overcome a huge mass of ancient superstitions, ancestral superstitions, class superstitions, city superstitions, country superstitions, and behind all, the vast mass of superstition that is innate in every human being. Beautiful. Ancient superstition, because it is going on for ages. Ancestral superstition, because our ancestors have carried it. So that has come to us. Class superstition, that means our group, our jati, our country, that superstition. City superstition, for most of the people, religion is what their immediately neighbors are practicing. That creates superstition. Country superstition, national, and behind all the vast mass of superstition, there is innate in every human being due to Maya. Yet there are a few brave souls in the world who dare to conceive the truth, who dare to take it up, and who dare to follow it to the end. So in this way, Swamiji has introduced Advaita Vedanta. If you are ready for this, Swamiji is giving that. What does the Advaitist declare? He says, if there is a God, that God must be both the material and the efficient cause of the universe. Not only is He the creator, but He is also the created. He Himself is the universe. How can that be? God the pure, the spirit has become the universe? Yes, apparently so. So, language, God created the world, God became the world, God appears as the world, is the final answer. Yes, apparently so. That which all ignorant people see as the universe does not really exist. What are you and I and all these things we see? Mere self-hypnotism. There is but one existence, the infinite, the ever-blessed one. In that existence we dream all these various dreams. So it is like dreaming. It is the Atman, beyond all, the infinite, beyond the known, beyond the knowable. In and through that we see the universe. So God is equated with our reality. It is the only, in and through that, we understood it many times, the knowledge portion. We see something, but how do we know that? And that knowledge is possible only our real nature is consciousness. Beyond the known, not an object, beyond the knowable, even the avyakta objects. In and through that we see the universe, it is the only reality, it is this table, it is the audience before me, it is the wall, it is everything minus the name and form. So name is not, nothing is real, name is an empty sound and form is ever changing. So if we can remove the covering of name and form, we shall see God. And remove the covering is not actually covering. It is through the growth of consciousness or understanding that this covering will go automatically. Take away the form of the table, take away the name, what remains is it. It means God or soul. Form or name gone, the reality, existence is Atman. The Vedanta does not call it either he or she. It means neuter gender. He or she will make a difference. Common man's God is he, sometimes she, but the Vedanta is everywhere Sat or Tat is used for God. Important point Swamiji is showing. These are fictitious delusions of the human brain. There is no sex in this soul. The whole scene changes. The whole surroundings change. The whole view changes. People who are under illusion, who have become like animals, see a woman or a man. Living gods do not see a man or woman. How can they, who are beyond everything, have any sex idea? That is the growth. Everyone and everything is the Atman, the self, the sexless, the pure, the ever-blessed. So add one more point, sexless. It is the name, the form, the body which are material. And they make all this difference. And that is unreal. If you can take away these two differences of name and form, the whole universe is one. There are no two, but one everywhere. You and I are one. So this Advaita does not allow any difference between me and God and me and you. There is neither nature, nor God, nor the universe. Names, only that the one infinite existence out of which through name and form all these are manufactured. How to know the knower? He is the only knower. How to know him? We cannot make him an object. We cannot come out separately from him to know him. It cannot be known. How can you say your own self? You can realize that you are that. You cannot see it as an object. You can only reflect yourself. So you can see, reflect and see that. And that will give an idea of what you are. But then you will have to realize it. So all this universe is the reflection of that one eternal being, the Atman. And as the reflection falls upon good or bad reflectors, so good or bad images are cast up. That is all the difference between good and bad. Thus in the murderer, the reflection is bad and not the self. In the saint, the reflection is pure. The self, the Atman, is by its own nature pure. It is the same. The one existence of the universe. From this comes the universal love. And that is why the Advaita cannot look down or condemn up anybody. It is the same, the one existence of the universe that is reflecting itself from the lowest worm to the highest and most perfect being. The whole of this universe is one unity, one existence physically, mentally, morally and spiritually. Now how to define an individual body physically? That food is not our body. When we eat it becomes our body. And when we throw it out it goes away. So the whole universe bodily also is only one. The division is only in the mind. Minds are one. That is why our thoughts influence each other. Mentally, morally. Morally means the laws binding the universe are one. Spiritually, of course, Atman is only one. We are looking upon this one existence in different forms and creating all these images upon it. To the being who has limited himself to the condition of man, it appears as the world of man. To the being who is on a higher plane of existence, it may seem like heaven. There is but one. So heaven is evolved consciousness, more happiness, that becomes heaven. There is but one soul in the universe, not two. It neither comes nor goes. It is neither born nor dies, nor reincarnates. How can it die? Where can it go? How can it die means it is eternal. Where it can go means it is all pervading. All these heavens and all these earths and all these places are vain imaginations of the mind. Mind has created. They do not exist, never existed in the past and never will exist in the future. I am omnipresent, eternal. Omnipresent means space-wise. Eternal means time-wise. Where can I go? Where am I not already? I am reading this book of nature. Page after page I am finishing and turning over, and one dream of life after another goes away. Another page of life is turned over, another dream of life comes and it goes away, rolling and rolling, and when I have finished my reading, I let it go and stand aside. I throw away the book and the whole thing is finished. What does the Advaitist preach? He dethrones all the gods that ever existed or ever will exist in the universe and places on that throne the self of man. The Atman, higher than the sun and the moon, because they are all changing. Higher than the heavens, greater than this great universe itself, because it is changing. No books, no scriptures, no science can ever imagine the glory of the self that appears as man. The most glorious God that ever was, the only God that ever existed, exists or ever will exist. I am to worship therefore none but myself. I worship myself, says. Worship is a tendency of the mind. Worship yourself. I worship myself, says the Advaitist. To whom shall I bow down? I salute myself. To whom shall I go for help? Who can help me, the infinite being of the universe? These are foolish dreams, hallucinations. Who ever helped anyone? None. Whenever you see a weak man, a dualist, weeping and wailing for help from somewhere above the skies, it is because he does not know that the skies also are in him. He wants help from the skies, and the help comes. We say that it comes, but it comes from within himself, and he mistakes it as coming from without. Sometimes a sick man lying on his bed may hear a tap on the door. He gets up and opens it and finds no one there. He goes back to bed and again he hears a tap. He gets up and opens the door, nobody is there. At last he finds that it was his own heartbeat, which he fancied was a knock at the door. Wonderful example. Thus man, after this vain search after various gods outside himself, completes the circle and comes back to the point from which he started, the human soul. And he finds that the God whom he was searching in hill and dale, whom he was seeking in every brook, in every temple, in churches and heavens, that God whom he was even imagining as sitting in heaven and ruling the world is his own self. I am he and he is I. None but I was God, and this little I never existed. This little I does not become God. This little I never existed, and I was God. Yet, how could that perfect God have been deluded? That is the question. He never was. That is the answer. How could a perfect God have been dreaming? He never dreamed. Truth never dreams. The very question as to whence this illusion arises is absurd. When we are under illusion, from where it has come? From ignorance, from wrong knowledge. Wrong knowledge does not come, it is there. And wrong knowledge is always unreal. It goes. Illusion arises from illusion alone. There will be no illusion as soon as the truth is seen. That is the only answer. Illusion always rests upon illusion. It never rests upon God, the truth, the Atman. So big debate they make. Where does Maya live? In Jiva or Brahman? Maya lives only in Maya. You are never in illusion. It is illusion that is in you, in the mind. Before you, illusion that is in you, before you. That means as object and in the mind. A cloud is here, another comes and pushes it aside and takes its place. Still another comes and pushes that one away. As before the eternal blue sky, clouds of various hue and color come, remain for a short time and disappear, leaving it the same eternal blue. Even so are you, eternally pure, eternally perfect. You are the veritable gods of the universe. Nay, there are not two, there is but one. So you are gods, not means different gods. You are all God. It is a mistake to say you and I. Say I, it is I who am eating in the millions of mouths. That is the consciousness of the Advaiti. How can I be hungry? In Sri Ramakrishna's life it is demonstrated so beautifully. When due to the physically in the cancer in the throat, he could not swallow anything. And his disciples pressed again and again. Ask mother. And afterwards he said, I asked. Mother means his own real nature. And the reply came, you are eating through every mouth. Why you are worried of eating through one mouth? That is the consciousness. Even to feel it thrills a man. How can I be hungry? It is I who am working through an infinite number of hands. How can I be inactive? It is I who am living the life of the whole universe. Where is death for me? Bodies will drop. Where is death for me? I am beyond all life, beyond all death. Life is a particular expression. I am beyond that. And so I cannot die. Where shall I seek for freedom? I am free by my nature. I feel bound due to my wrong knowledge. As soon as the wrong knowledge is gone, I see I am free. Who can bind me? The God of the universe? The scriptures of the world are but little maps wanting to delineate my glory, who am the only existence of the universe. Then what are these books to me? Thus says the Advaitist. So how to become free? Know the truth and be free in a moment. All the darkness will then vanish. When man has seen himself as one with the infinite being of the universe, when all separateness has ceased, when all men and women, all gods and angels, all animals and plants, and the whole universe have melted into that oneness, then all fear disappears. Yes, fear is a part of imperfection because any duality generates fear. Can I hurt myself? Can I kill myself? Can I injure myself? Whom to fear? Can you fear yourself? So Swamiji is not putting any logic to prove it. He is telling it is the truth and is putting it in language. And that language can remove our delusion. Then will all sorrow disappear. What can cause me sorrow? I am the one existence of the universe. Then all jealousies will disappear. Of whom to be jealous? Of myself. There are no two. So all the imperfections vanish. Then all bad feelings disappear. Against whom can I have bad feeling? Against myself. There is none in the universe but me. And this is the one way, says the Vedantist, to knowledge. Change of consciousness. Kill out the differentiation. Kill out this superstition that there are many. He who in this world of many sees that one, he who in the mass of insentiency sees that one sentient being, who in this world of shadows catches that reality, unto him belongs eternal peace, unto none else, unto none else. These are the salient points of the 3 steps which Indian religious thoughts has taken in regard to God. So again it comes back to show that this by evolution of consciousness, by right consciousness we come to this, and the growth may be slow, the growth may be gradual, we may have to pass through these, but we come to the final truth. We have seen that it began with the personal, the extra-cosmic God. It went from the external to the internal cosmic body, God immanent in the universe, and ended in identifying the soul itself with that God and making one soul a unit of all these various manifestations in the universe. This is the last word of the Vedas. It begins with dualism, goes through a qualified monism, and ends in perfect monism. So that is how to study Vedanta. We know how very few in this world can come to the last, or even dare believe in it, and fewer still dare act according to it. Yet we know that therein lies the explanation of all ethics, of all morality and all spirituality in the universe. So rational explanation we find there only. Why is it that everyone says, do good to others? Where is the explanation? Why is it that all great men have preached the brotherhood of mankind, and greater men the brotherhood of all life, not even mankind? Because whether they were conscious of it or not, behind all that, through all their irrational and personal superstitions, was peering for the eternal light of the self, denying all manifoldness and asserting that the whole universe is but one. Denial of manifoldness. The Mandukya expression is prapancha upashamam. That is what Buddha preached. Again the last word gave us one universe, which through the senses we see as matter. Through the intellect as souls, here intellect stands for mind. And through the spirit as God. Consciousness is spirit and we see everything as spirit or God. To the man who throws upon himself veils, which the world calls wickedness and evil, this very universe will change and become a hideous place. To another man who wants enjoyments, this very universe will change its appearance and becomes heaven. And to the perfect man, the whole thing will vanish and become his own self. Now, as society exists at the present time, practical, all these three stages are necessary. You cannot force Advaita upon anybody. The best of the minds, they don't want to come out of their, at the most qualified monism. The one does not deny the other. One is simply the fulfillment of the other. Natural growth. The Advaitist or the qualified Advaitist does not say that dualism is wrong. Should not say. Otherwise it becomes a fanatic. It is a right view, but a lower one. It is on the way to truth. Therefore, let everybody work out his own vision of this universe according to his own ideas. Injure none, deny the position of none, take man where he stands, and if you can, lend him a helping hand and put him on a higher platform. But do not injure and do not destroy. By preaching Advaita alone, you destroy their faith. Na buddhivedam janayad agyanam karmasanginam, the Gita has told us. All will come to truth in the long run. Even the dualist believes that. Even all the desires of the heart will be anchored. So the main question is, the desires produced due to this subject-object flight. Then this very mortal will become immortal. Then the very man will become God. So, we went through this chapter from the beginning again and came to this conclusion. So, we end it here today. We take up the next chapter, smaller one, the Atman is bondage and freedom. That was delivered before this, 8th January 1896. We were reading 2nd February. But because to get a correct idea, then the lower ideas could be understood, so that has been given first in the book. So we'll come to that next turn. Om Paratatve Sada Lino Ramakrishna Samagyaya Yo Dharma Sthapana Rato Vire Shantam Namamyam. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Shri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.